If you're in the U.S., it's likely that at this point you're either just getting ready to start your school year or it's just begun. This is a great time to talk about one of the important skills of working with the parents in your community, and this is setting expectations. This is so important, especially for parents who are new to your school, who are new perhaps to the Montessori experience. Having taught in public schools where many parents who came to the school were not seeking Montessori so much as they were seeking something else. They weren't happy where their children were, and so they were looking for an alternative. When they heard about the new Montessori public charter school, something in it appealed to them. Now, the fact that something in it appealed to them doesn't mean that they understand what's going to be happening. As you are aware, this experience in a Montessori school should be very, very different than it is in a traditional school as most of us think about them in the United States. So you need to help the parents get up to speed. You need to set expectations about homework, about parent communication, how if you're not giving grades, if you're not sending home papers with 80%, 60%, 90% A, B written on them, how are you going to help the parents know where their children are? How are you going to help them understand what's going on? And one other piece that I believe is very important to set expectations around is standardized testing. Now, particularly if you are in a position where you are going to need to test your children through a standardized program that is implemented by your state and you are a new school, please help your parents to understand the position that you're in. Help them understand that your classroom leads are learning. Help them understand if the testing is new, which in this year it very likely is, with so many states having gradually implemented a Common Core State Standards program. It's very likely that the testing that will be done is not something that people are used to. Talk to your parents about this. This was something that was a very important thing that I did the first year that I was an upper elementary teacher at a public charter school. I let the parents know I expected the test scores to be horrible. They weren't horrible across the line, but they were pretty bad. And I explained why that was the case. We were learning the testing system. The children were learning to be in a Montessori school, to make progress in a Montessori school. And I also explained to them why it was worth it, why it was worth it to go through that learning curve. If there are ways that you can help your educators be ready to work within those kinds of systems, I encourage you to do it. Again, an experience that I had with a writing test that is administered in the state where I taught at that time to fifth graders. I'd never heard of this test. I did not realize the importance of the practice program so that the students were writing in the way that the test was going to ask them to write when it was actually given, even though we were given that program. And so I did very little with it the first year. And most of my students, including excellent writers who I was encouraging to send their work into magazines, did not do well. In fact, when my students took that same test 2 years later, the average scores were over 10 points higher. Now, that may not sound like a lot, but there's only 30 points on this test. So I certainly did not go from being a horrible teacher of writing to be a wonderful teacher of writing, someplace in between there. But that's what the test reflected, and that's the kind of expectation you need to communicate to the parents. Help them to understand that these are the kinds of things that are different in a Montessori school. Help them to understand why no homework or very little homework or only project-based homework is a good thing. If you set the expectations well, you combine that with community building, good communication, you will find that your parents will love Montessori education and they will be so happy that their children have this opportunity through your experience.